Today we took delivery of these two Triumph motorcycles. We've got the brand new Speed Twin 1200 and the 2025 Speedmaster 1200. And these bikes really are opposite ends of the spectrum of the modern classic range. And we want to decide today our initial impressions and try and find out who these bikes are for. Now we've just done a nice little ride into the countryside, and to start with I've ridden the Speed Twin and the old man has been on the Speedmaster, and in a minute we're going to swap over and do another bit of riding and see what we think of each other's bikes. But I rode the old version of this bike over a year ago now, and I did a review of it, and the title, I looked back at the title of that video and I called it an elegant gentleman's steed, and I think I was wrong. So I don't think it's quite elegant. I think it's quite brutish and it's quite aggressive, this bike. Even starting with the riding position, when you get on this bike, it feels very short and you feel like you're over the handlebars on this thing. You've got a very steep angle on the forks. The rake is really, really steep, and your legs are sort of bent back in a sporty riding position. So it almost feels like you're on a sports bike, but it has got retro-ish looks. So I mean, if all sports bikes look like this, I'd say they're pretty good looking. So perhaps this is a bike for someone looking for something a bit more sporty.
I haven't ridden this Speedmaster now for a year or so, and if you did look back on some of our old reviews, I have said in the past that this is my favourite Bonneville, if not certainly my second favourite. And jumping back on it, it's a lovely, comfortable motorcycle. This seat is absolutely divine. It's a nice riding position and it does feel very classy. So I'm going to jump on the Speed Twin, Darcy's going to jump onto the Speedmaster, and we're going to ride a few miles up the road and speak to you then with our second impressions.
Motorcycle theft is becoming more and more of a problem, definitely in the UK as well. I've seen multiple videos in London, for example, of people on the back of scooters and angle grinders coming up to motorcycles and stealing them. So that's a problem that definitely requires a solution, and I think I've found that solution. Now I recently got this device from Monimoto. This is the Monimoto 9. And this is really going to be a game changer if you're unfortunate enough that your motorcycle does get stolen. This is really going to help you out. Now, quite a few years ago, the old man's motocross bike was stolen out of the garage. So it had it parked up in the garage was broken into, and they'd taken the bike, and it was in the snow as well. So there was tracks which you could follow, but obviously the snow thawed and there was no indication as to where the bike had gone. The police never found it. So that's a bike lost and a lot of money down the drain. If only you had a Monimoto 9, that wouldn't have happened, because this device will track your motorcycle and it knows when it's been stolen, because you will have this little key fob on your keys. So every time you get on the bike, it knows you're riding, so it will disable the device. But when you're not on the bike and you haven't got the key fob near, it will know it's not you getting on the bike. The Monimoto 9 has a rechargeable battery. It takes about an hour and a half to fully charge this thing, and it will last for up to 12 months, which is fantastic. It's IP68 waterproof. It's ever so easy to take on and off of your bike because it doesn't require any wires, so you don't need to plug it into your battery like a lot of other motorcycle trackers. This thing can be hidden anywhere you see fit on your motorcycle and taken from one bike to another because it's got a reusable zip tie with it. Now, if someone does steal your motorcycle and ride off without the key fob, you will get a call on your mobile phone to alert you that your bike has been stolen. You can then track down your motorcycle to its exact location using the Monimoto app, and it will work in most countries with a 4G and 5G network, because this has got an eSIM built into the Monimoto 9. So if you fancy yourself a Monimoto 9, make sure you click the link in our description, and between the 15th and 30th of April 2025 you will get £15 off the Monimoto 9 tracker. So do make sure you click our link. It helps support the channel, it helps us bring videos like this one to you guys, and we're ever so grateful to have the support of companies like Monimoto.
Okay, so we've just come out for a ride, a few more miles, and I've been on the Speed, what's it called?
Speed Twin.
Speed Twin. And it's a totally different bike. You notice it especially after getting off of the Speedmaster. They're chalk and cheese. They really are the complete opposite end of the spectrum. But first impressions of this Speed Twin 1200 is very snappy, very quick. It's a bike that you're going to love if you want to ride quickly. It's like a sports bike with style. So if they all look, they used to look like that, didn't they actually?
Yeah.
That sort of style.
Yeah.
So you've got to be someone who wants a sports bike and you want to go fast and you want to corner fast. Then I think you'll find that's the bike for you. Whereas
in other words,
Speed,
it's not for you.
it's not for me, yeah, personally. The Speedmaster is more my cup of tea. It's a laid-back, gentlemanly bike.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Totally. And getting off of that and onto this, it's night and day. It's a totally different bike. And this felt suddenly like the feet felt so far forward. It felt so comfortable. I was like, oh my God, I've got all the room in the world. And the bike feels so much longer. That bike feels really like much more cramped.
Like you say, you feel like you're sitting on top of it. I don't know if the seat slopes. It does actually.
It does.
It crushes basically, unless you squeeze your legs, you're sliding forwards the whole time, and you end up so far forwards you have to keep repositioning.
Yeah.
It's definitely, you've got to want to go fast. Don't buy that bike if you just want a comfortable ride to sort of cruise around the lanes. And
no, get the T120 if you want to do that.
Yeah.
Or this.
Yeah, so I mean there's a modern classic for everybody, which is the point, isn't it? Of course, it's totally the point.
Now, before we came out today, I just ate my lunch, and riding the Speed Twin first, my lunch didn't want to stay inside my stomach. So, getting onto the Speedmaster, it's such a more relaxed ride, and if you've gone out for lunch, you won't want to bring it back up again. But this is a really nice bike. It's reminded me of how much I like this motorcycle. It really is a beautiful machine. It's got plenty of character. The exhaust is stunning, but also one of the best sounding standard exhausts I've heard actually. It's got a really nice deep rumbly tone to it. And it proportionally looks very, very nice. So yeah, I do love this Speedmaster.
I've just noticed on this Speed Twin, the swing arm's rather nice, and it has got twin shocks, which is really, really nice. I really love twin shocks. I wish they sort of came back more strongly than they have, because it gives you much more space in the bike. But the riding position on this is for me, it really is quite painful, because I broke my knee a couple of years ago, so my legs are so bent, especially as you start sliding forwards like that. You know, you need to be a young man of at least 50 or 55 to ride this bike, because people under that don't ride bikes anymore, do they? I don't know why. And also you've got this modern speedometer stroke rev counter, which it's not so intuitive to look at. I don't know which bit I'm looking at, but it's offset as well. So the old one had a rather nice twin dials, didn't it?
Yeah, and it was actually one of the nicest dials on any modern classic motorcycle. It really was nice. So a little bit disappointed with that new dial.
That is a shame.
I don't particularly like it, and we prefer analog dials as they go. But for example, if you look at the Royal Enfield Bear 650 and the Himalayan, they have got a digital dial, which is also round, but it fills the whole screen and is, in my opinion, done much better. So if they could make one like that, then they'd improve it and put it in the middle. The Speedmaster has got a analog dial, and I've said this before, it's a nice looking dial. I think it's pretty much the same as the dial you get on the Speed Twin 900. I don't know if that's the same on the new one, but they had one on the van when they dropped these two off, and it had that dial. It's nice, but it's very plasticky. And I think for a bike of this price, they should have put a metal speedometer on there, analog as well, and then it would just be spot on.
So like we're looking, as I said, with this video, it's not the review, it's about who will buy which bike. And attention to detail, where you get this pretend looking carburettor, which is rather nice. So it hides all the electronic ignition, but it looks like the traditional bike. It looks like an air-cooled engine, although it's water-cooled, and you've got a very thin radiator up front. What have we got on here? Obviously the twin shocks, like I said. You've got this very modern looking Z shape there. Same engine, but a different tune, different compression ratio. It's amazing what Triumph can get out of these engines, because depending on the bike, they have a different feel and a different character. So that's really good how they can do that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's totally, I mean, you wouldn't even know it's the same engine. It feels completely different.
Oh, it does, yeah.
I'm trying not to nitpick here, but I mean, if that was what all sports bikes look like, I'd be a much happier person. But, you know, I have to be honest in my personal taste that I prefer the look of perhaps the T120, but they've got that model as well.
Yeah, exactly. So
if you want it to look like a T120, buy a T120.
I'd say this is for somebody who wants that sporty bike, doesn't like the insect look, and wants something kind of classic looking, but not fully committed classic looking. So you've got a nice looking tank, you know, in a normal seat. The back end doesn't go up like a ski slope. It's got kind of it is a modern classic, of course, but it's got some modern touches as well. So that's the person that's going to like this bike. Now,
another thing that I really like about these Triumphs is the gearbox. I think they've both got a really nice feel to the gearbox. Every gear has got a positive clunkiness. It really is a very good feeling. It's one of the nicest gearboxes on any modern bike, actually. Really, really nice. The tank on this colour is very nice, isn't it?
Yeah, I've not seen that colour before. It's a new colour this year,
yeah,
I believe.
Very nice. I like that.
And look at that. The foot pegs are so lovely on this.
I know. Yeah, look quality. At that. Absolutely stunning. And when you fold them out, you get a lovely click that they've engineered in that just oozes quality, doesn't it?
Yeah. And people do often ask, could you have a long ride two up on this? And the rear pad is quite comfortable. But you don't have a lot of support behind. You've got a little grab handle, so you've either got to be quite confident, or you can always get like a sissy bar to lean back on, I should think. But it's probably not a long distance two-up cruiser, is it?
No, probably more one. But this sort of main seat is really, really comfortable, isn't it?
Yeah, very.
Now, in terms of sports bikes, this isn't really that fast, which is baffling to me. This is a blimmin' quick motorcycle, but there's plenty of bikes out there that are much quicker than this. And in my eyes, they shouldn't be street legal. They're just mental. And you're only going to get yourself into trouble, whether it's with the law or with your well-being, because you're going to come off at some point or hurt yourself or someone else. So if you want to go faster than this bike can go, really you need to get a racing license and ride on the track, because any faster than this, I mean, this is, to me, I don't want that much power, but it's more than enough power for the road. This is a fast motorcycle. Really, really is.
You could get yourself into serious trouble on this bike, couldn't you? Because it encourages you to open it up and go for it. Whereas on the Speedmaster, like we say, it's more gentlemanly, it's laid back. It's got plenty of oomph if you need it, but you're quite happy to just cruise along and enjoy the view. This isn't about enjoying patting the cows and the horses. It's about carving up the corners. And a lot of people want to do that, especially in the UK. That's the kind of mentality of a lot of riders. So if you're on that wavelength, you're going to be saying, yeah, this is it, this is the one for me. So now you should know who these two motorcycles are for. One of them might be for you, one of them might be for your friend. So let us know if either or which one appeals to you. There will be individual reviews of these two bikes coming up, and when we get the RS version of the Speed Twin, there'll be a separate video on that. Aeroplanes, war. So we'll see you on the next video.